Hi, Allie.
Hi, Cece.
Welcome to Coffee Talk, the talk show where we talk about pets and social media and all while we have a delicious drink.
Yay. Cheers.
Clink.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in with us today on this exciting episode. Allie's going to introduce, our topic for this episode, and we're really excited to share our thoughts on it.
So I'm really excited for this episode because this one kind of delves into, my area of social media and influencing. So I am very excited. But today's topic is about social media influencers who are involved with rescues or who have rescue pets themselves. And, just kind of that discussion about how social media has really changed the landscape for the rescue space and the ability for not only these rescues to get further outreach, but the way that influencers are also playing a big role in that. So I'm really excited to get to talk about this today.
And it's with influencers, I mean, they're really just taking over, I mean, it's really, you go on social media, you see all these different trends and all these different people that are influencing in every single aspect. You have food influencers, you have tech influencers, you have beauty influencers, and then you also have influencers in these little niches that you're just like, what? like
I know.
cleaning and house tidying. Like, I remember seeing this trend, and I don't know if you remember seeing it, but some influencers started this thing of where they were showing people how to mop up, to really clean wood floors. And so what they would do is they would mop these wood floors with like a whole bunch of liquid, but they wouldn't dry it up. I'm not exactly sure, but it caused a lot of people to ruin their wood floors.
Interesting.
Nuts, right? And so imagine
Oh my
people just
gosh.
like just mopping their wood floors with tons of liquid, and that
Yeah.
was it. And they would just leave it on there. So, I mean, just the power of influencers these days, with the power of social media,
Yeah.
it's just, it blows my mind.
That's crazy. That's a fear of mine that people will do that with our product. Whenever I see messages in our Facebook comments, I'm like, do not mop it and leave it on. Do not leave it like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so funny. No, but the influencers really, I mean, it's in the title of their job to the degree, but like they really do influence people in the craziest of ways. Sometimes a little scary because, you're always like, did we not think this through a little bit further before we like actually committed to it? But, I love the fact that some of them are using their platforms for such incredible causes. And even if it didn't start out like that, for example, one of the ones that I have for us to talk about today, even Alex Earl started off as, a get ready with me. Like that was all her content was in college. She started out at U Miami, get ready with me. She grew up in a pet family. Her
Mhm.
family has a German Shepherd and I believe a couple other dogs as well. But that was not the main focus of her page by any means when she had first started. It was just, her chatting with everyone, getting to know them as she built her following. She chose to use her platform to help advocate for pet rescues. And one of the most prominent characters and people, I guess not people, but people in her circle is her a beautiful dog Asia that she rescued that she shares the story of. The dog was previously found a home and then needed to get surgery that the owners couldn't handle. So Asia was actually given back. And Alex was like, I'm not going to let this poor baby, not be with someone that she knows and get the help that she needs. So she took Asia back, paid for Asia's surgery, was with her
Mhm.
through the whole recovery, and then finally actually adopted her officially on Christmas. So like just
Aw.
incredible. And like she advocates for the Miami-Dade Animal Rescue now. And so it's just things like that. Like it's not where it started, but it's so appreciative the way that they're willing to use their platforms to advocate for such incredible causes. And again, it works so well for her because, she's had pets her whole life, but for
Mhm.
her to go from not really talking about that as the focal point to like Asia being such a prominent, character in her story and in her life and the rescue being such a prominent story in her life,
Mhm.
it's incredible to see. So
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's fantastic. I had no idea. Like, I mean, I've heard of Alex Earl. I know that she's a big influencer, and she's in a lot of the celebrity circles, but it's amazing when you find out, what these people who have this type of influence in the world, how they're really helping out with the pet space and rescue animals and really just sharing that awareness and that knowledge. So that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Now I
Yeah, it's
like her
great.
even more.
I know, right? It's one of those things where too, because I know everyone's always like, I don't know, sometimes people always want to find a reason to not like someone, and I get it. Like, there's always going to be something, especially with influencers, when people are literally sitting here like nitpicking into every aspect of their life. Of course, you're going to find something that you probably don't agree with, but
Mhm.
the way that she advocates for her pets and other people's pets, and just for dogs in general who need a little extra help, I can't,
Mhm.
I can't say anything. I think she's awesome.
Yeah.
One fun fact actually about Alex Earl's pit bull Asia, she is a pit bull mix, which, we can definitely talk about in further detail too on another day, because I know pit bulls as rescues, that's a whole topic that can be
Mhm.
delved into in and of itself, but she actually spent almost 500 days in the shelter before being fostered, which is
Oh.
like so heartbreak. Like that's over a year, like a year and a half. This poor dog is sitting in a shelter, and then imagine like the life switch. You get adopted by Alex Earl of all people, and like everything goes from 0 to 100, but 500 days, and like I can't even imagine how many other dogs have been, in these shelters for longer than that. Like it's so crazy to think about.
Hmm. Absolutely. And it's at a certain point, it's natural for a dog's system, physically and mentally, to shut down, to start shutting
Yeah.
down. And that's why you see videos of dogs that are at the shelters, they're in their little enclosure and they don't want to eat, they don't want to interact. And it's like you can just see in their eyes that they're slowly losing that will to want to live, and so it's so sad whenever I see stories of dogs that have been in shelters for years. It's like it just makes me want to go adopt them.
Right,
I
right.
go
I
see
always
them.
said, I'm
Yeah.
like, if I had all the money and all the space and resources in the world, like that's probably what I'd do, is just like adopt every dog that's on that street that needs a home.
Yeah.
Um, Another great thing about what Alex did too is that she also had fostered a pit bull named True, who was at risk for being euthanized. And during that foster, they were able to find True a forever home and save True from euthanization, which I think is absolutely awesome. I know that, some of these shelters, it's hard. There's not enough space for all the dogs that unfortunately people just choose to,
Hmm.
abandon. And so it's a tough situation. But I really love what Alex does. She, again, the adoption agency that she like really pushes, and the shelter that she works for, is a part of, or partners with, that she advocates for a lot, is the
Hmm.
Miami-Dade Animal Shelter down in Miami. It is an incredible shelter. I've looked into them too, and they do incredible work. So it's been really, really fun to learn more about her, journey in that rescue space. Another person that I want to chat about, because I feel like this person is very well known. So this one is I think can expand across all kinds of platforms. If you're in the dog space to a degree, I feel like you've almost always heard of Caesar Milan. I feel like most
Hmm.
people know, or have at least heard of his name, even if you don't fully know what it's from. Usually when a dog gets
Yeah.
mentioned, Caesar Milan is somewhere in that general vicinity. And his his rescue that he has is the Milan Foundation, and they rehabilitate dogs. They actually own he bought a 32-acre property, if I'm not mistaken,
Hmm.
where he offers resources for not only the dogs themselves, but for families to train and to become better equipped to actually take care of these dogs that are rescues, and
Hmm.
just in general, figuring out how to, train them to be able to adapt to those kinds of environments, and even owning a dog if it's someone's first time owning a dog, which I
Hmm.
think is absolutely incredible. But yeah, he's a beast in the pet space for sure.
Yeah, I didn't know that he had his own foundation and rescue. I've got to look that up. That's incredible. But as for him, I mean, who's not heard of him, right? He's like the OG dog whisperer.
Right, exactly. I remember watching that show. I don't remember what network it was on, but I remember watching that show like with my dad growing up. Like we would always have something that we'd watch together. And I remember when we'd watch that, and I'm like, how does he know what they're thinking though? I was like, is he really talking to the dogs? I was convinced. I was convinced that he was actually whispering to these dogs. But yeah, he's incredible. So I thought that was just so interesting. Same as you, I didn't realize that he had like a foundation. I obviously everyone knows he's involved in the pet space, but again, to the fullest extent, some you never really know how deeply rooted they are in it and in what ways. So I thought
Aw.
that was super fun. He also collaborates with groups like Last Chance for Animals. So it exposes puppy mills and it helps train rescue dogs out of traumas that they've been through in their lives and, past experiences, which, like, come on, how does that not like make you just want to like burst into tears? Like, that's the sweetest thing ever.
I need that for
Um, what was that? I'm sorry.
need that for Santa.
Right, right. Maybe we should give Cesar Milan a call, honestly. Maybe if he sees the podcast, he'll be willing to to help us out.
Tag him.
Yeah, we should. That's so funny. That's awesome. Another personality who is relatively new to the influencing space, and she's not super well known amongst all people, but some of the reality TV watchers may know her. Her name is Leah Kateb. She was on one of the recent seasons of a reality TV show, very silly reality TV show. It's Love Island. I love it personally. I love Love Island, but it's a very like interesting concept of a reality show.
Well, her name sounds very familiar. It's what? How do you spell her last name?
uh, Kateb, Kateb.
Keteb. Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, her name.
She's gorgeous. I mean, just
Yeah.
her as a person, she's beautiful. But everything that she stands for, she's a
Uh-huh.
huge advocate for rescues. I think she has, if I'm not mistaken, a farm. Like I think her and her family like have like a big property and they have a bunch of animals and they have rescue dogs. She has a rescue dog named Blue that she began as a foster and literally the dog became her best friend. And she talks about Blue because when her new boyfriend that she had met from the show was introduced to her lives, Blue is a little timid, as some rescue dogs can be with new people. And so she would share the story of how she was essentially introducing Blue slowly to her boyfriend and getting them both acclimated to each other without Blue feeling, scared or unsafe. And it was always very clear in those videos, at least when I was watching them, that the priority was Blue. The priority was not her boyfriend. She could care less what
Mm-hmm.
he felt or how he felt. It was always making sure that Blue was comfortable. And I thought that that was absolutely awesome. She's fostered hundreds of dogs over the years, her and her family, and she advocates for them constantly. She's been in PETA adoption campaigns. She's been in, an incredible amount of initiatives to help with shelters and different rescue, organizations. So I was excited to get to mention her because just watching her, like I said, I watched her season, so I was very invested in her life outside of the show, but seeing that it connected in such like a fun little way to the things that we do here, I was like, oh, this is awesome to see. So
Oh, that's great hearing about the stories about how these influencers are really out there and making a difference in the pet space. So
right,
kudos.
right, it's
Oh,
awesome. It was. We love it. We love to see it.
yes.
And two other people that I just want to mention real quick that are pretty big animal advocates, and I just threw their names in here because I felt like they were fun people, and they're just I didn't know this about them, so to me it was like a fun fact. Kaylee Kyoko, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that completely correctly, but Kaylee Kyoko from Big Bang Theory and Sandra Bullock from literally every good movie growing up ever. They're both deeply rooted and invested in rescues and shelters and things of that nature. Sandra Bullock has multiple rescue dogs that she has. She
Mhm.
had her Chihuahua named Poppy and Ruby, who they were both Chihuahuas. Poppy was a Chihuahua Pomeranian. But they lived with her for years. Unfortunately, they passed away. And then after they had passed away, she adopted Sweetie, who is an adorable poodle. So she is a big advocate for adopting, and absolutely loves working, with those agencies. Same with Kaylee. She adopted a pit bull mix named Norman, and a cane corso mix whose name is Dolly. So I
Oh,
just think that that's incredible because, again, it's little things where it's like these people for such a specific thing that when you start to like learn more about their lives or see it in other aspects, you like really, they're normal people. They're people just like us, and like it's great to see them advocating for such incredible things and working with such incredible, philanthropies and shelters and things like that. So
absolutely. Beautiful stories. Now I
yeah.
like people even more, so.
Right? Exactly. I always love another good reason to support somebody. So, but yeah, I think that's kind of all I had in terms of the people who I felt like were, really advocating for these rescues and these shelters
Mhm.
and really, making a name for that in the influencer social media kind of space and using that platform and their platforms like that to their advantage to advocate for these incredible causes. So,
Awesome, awesome. Well,
yeah.
okay, well, thank you for that. Let's get into our hot questions. We did it last time
Yes.
and you guys just loved it. And so what we're doing now with every episode is Allie, who's also managing our social media, she's gonna take some of the top questions, the top 2 to 3 questions. We're gonna talk about it, we're gonna discuss it so that you guys get all the information about my pet peeve.
Absolutely. So, to start off, first question is, does this also work on other stains?
Ooh, very good question.
Absolutely. Right?
Yeah.
It's a great question. I love this question. I love getting to answer this question because it is always so fun to me to get to like type out the list of other things that it works on because everyone's always like, oh, it has to just be pet pee. So
Mhm.
I want to
That's
make
the
it clear.
misconception.
Right? Right? That is the misconception. I do want to make it clear, we always say our guarantee is that my pet peed works on any organic matter that comes from a human or pet. That is,
Mhm.
all that we can technically guarantee. That is how, the product was created.
Can
But
you explain
yeah,
organic matter? What does organic
yes.
matter mean?
Thank you. That is a great question. So organic matter is pee, poop, puke, um, hairballs, if your cat has hairballs, things of that nature, sweat, is there anything else I'm missing? I'm trying to think. But things essentially along those lines. So anything that comes out of or from you, blood, anything like that. Um, but we have had so many customers over the years share stories about how it has worked on red wine. It has worked on juice, pasta
Mhm.
sauce, which I don't even understand how that's possible, but pasta sauce.
Really cool one because we've gotten a couple of that, and I mean, just the testimonials that we've gotten from my pet peeve being used on pasta sauce and it being very effective is quite surprising.
Right? That's what I said. I mean, just the other day, I got a customer who shared their experience on Facebook and they said it got fish oil out of their clothes, which
Oh
I was
wow!
like, what?
Yeah.
What? Like, that is so difficult to do. So, yeah, I mean, we're constantly surprised, but we learn every day about new stains that my pet peeve works on through you guys as customers sharing your experiences. We always say stick to the general rule of thumb, always test your fabric or material or surface for any sort of color fastness before doing anything, just to be safe. But yeah, if there's a stain that you have that you think for some reason my pet peeve could work on, we always say like at your discretion, give it a try because we've learned a lot about the things that it works on from, people sharing experiences like that.
Yeah.
The next question is, can this be used in laundry? I love this question.
It can, with the caveats. It is.
Exactly.
So my pet peeve is meant to be used as a pre-treatment. You are not supposed to take my pet peeve and just dump it in the washer. Please, you guys, do not do that. It is not effective.
No, and we're doing it for your sake too, because we want to make sure that you are not just, dumping all your product in one
Right.
load of the laundry, because we want to make sure you're getting the best use out of it as possible. So that's why we always recommend using it as a pre-treatment instead. So just,
Mhm.
you know, but
Yeah.
yes, it can be used on laundry. Same rules apply, always test for color fastness, but it can be.
Mhm. Yeah. So just use it as by pre-treatment. What I mean is on those really gnarly and nasty and stubborn stains on your clothes, just, spray it, leave it on for 10 to 15 minutes, and then put that in the wash. But do not pour my pet peed in your washer.
Please, we beg you. And the last and final question, does it work on old pee stains / old stains in general?
Ooh,
This is a good one. The
very good.
answer is absolutely, it does. But again, same thing, little asterisks, just a couple things to note about it so that your expectations for it are not set differently than what, the reality may be. It does work on old stains and old pee stains. The
Mhm.
only thing to note is that it will take more applications than a fresher stain or maybe a standard one, only because the stain's been sitting. She's been settling. She's been, making herself comfortable on the surface that she decided to be on. So she's gonna, the stain's gonna need a little bit of extra help to get out of there. So it will take a few more applications, but that would, be standard. That makes sense. It's been there for a little bit. So
Yeah. And speaking of, I actually have a really cool demonstration. I have a carpet
yeah.
sample in my office. Let me just get it real quick. So I did this, I did this experiment, right, when I started, because I started with my pet peed about a year and a couple months ago. And I really wanted to understand the efficacy and the just, like have my own little testimonial for my pet peed.